on 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Doug Fields here. Welcome to the DYM podcast, episode 286.
Hello,
to my
hello.
right, and the hairiest one in the room is Senior Pastor Jason Carson.
I'm great.
I've never been called that.
Yeah, Senior Pastor.
Thank you. Yes.
You've never been called that?
I've never been called the hairiest one in the room.
The originator of the Supertones, Katie the Queen Edwards is back from Rwanda.
The second hairiest in the room.
And
She has long hair. What do you guys?
known
Unbelievable.
as that.
Josh, who used to be on the podcast. I was watching the podcast where Josh interviews the
Rich Peluso, the vice president of Affirm Films from the movie Risen.
yes, that one.
That was so
And Josh,
lame.
I watched like the first 5 minutes, and Josh says something about, I'm the host of the podcast. And he just like, and then
Did you see me smiling inside too? It was
No, I
magical.
could tell you were playing it for me. But then he does this. He goes, I've got a special guest here. Why don't you introduce yourself? Josh got no
Hey,
notes.
man.
Did you have any idea of his name?
Okay, true
No, he
story.
did not.
He showed up an hour and a half early. Elliot, our producer, would know this. So I'm about to work on my notes, about to write down his name, and I panicked, and we had to record right then. He had some big meeting up in Hollywood.
Oh
so
gosh.
anyhow, he was a great guy. The movie Risen was fantastic.
And what's his name?
Rich Peluso. I won't
yeah,
forget
there you
now. Trust me.
Yeah.
Vice president of Affirm Films, Sony.
That
What a
makes
great
me
film
laugh.
that was.
Can you
Yeah,
introduce
look at me
yourself?
just totally
Hey.
exposing you to that.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I watched it back and I was like, I wonder if Fields is going to notice that. Fields is going to, no one else in the world's going to notice, but Fields is going to know.
Well, it was just, and introduce yourself, which pretty much means I'm
don't
not
know
sure
who
who you
you
are.
I know, he's a great guy.
No.
Great interview, though.
No, he did a good job.
Have we all done that in youth ministry?
Hey.
Getting a kid up. Hey, tell us your name.
Hey, buddy. Hey, dude.
Hey, man.
What's going on? What's his name?
Yeah. My wife. Introduce yourself.
Oh, hey.
Hey, I'm
Hey,
Josh's
that would be okay. Let's just go around and say, when you don't know somebody's name, what is your secret to get out of that awkward situation? Ready, go, Josh.
Run. Just run away.
Now, what do you do?
No, I do like high five. Hey, man, tell me about your week. I throw like man, bro, dude.
pretty
Quick,
good.
generic code words. No problem. I got them mastered.
Yeah. But do you also, like, if you have an idea of what school he goes to, go, hey, big win on Friday night, huh? Or do you do something like
Oh,
that
yeah.
to give,
Oh
like,
no, that's risky.
Oh, yeah, but you also like if the shirt's like Oregon, you're like, hey, is that where you're going to go to school? What year are you anyhow? Or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I can make small talk without knowing who you are.
Yeah,
I'm not
you're-
even sure who that guy is over there at the
you're
other end
kind
of this
of the
table.
king of
Believe that.
yeah, you might be only second to Justin Herman.
Rich Peluso from Sony from Affirm Films. Done.
Yeah.
Got it. I got that guy down. How about you, Katie? What do you do? 3, 2, 1, go.
You know what? I just asked them their name.
Even if you,
I can't small talk like Josh. It's not my gift. And so I'm just like, you know what? Remember your name again. And so
what if it's like the 15th time you've done that?
then I asked someone else on my staff.
There
to
you
introduce
go, there you go.
themselves.
That's what I
That's
was
good.
going
That's
for.
Find a volunteer and go,
Hey,
what was
go
their
find out what that
name?
kid's name is and come back and tell me, and then I go.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
But sometimes I'm like, do you remember my name? Tell me your name again. You know.
Okay,
Because they forget
here-
my name, and I feel like if you can't remember my name, I don't have to remember yours.
That's true.
We had a student visit.
That's what Jesus would do.
totally. It totally is.
We had a student visit last week, and her name was Kelly, and I asked her middle name, Renee. So I was like, okay, Kelly Renee. A million times in my head. When I really purposely memorize someone's name, then they don't show back up. So I'm like, because I'm waiting. When Kelly Renee shows up this week, I'm going to be ready. Kelly, welcome back. A second week. How cool. She's not going to show. I promise you, Kelly Renee's never going to be in our youth group again because I know her name.
Yeah, way to quench the Holy Spirit. Both of you.
Yeah.
Wow, you're just
Wow.
juking us like
Faithless.
crazy.
Yeah, Jesus juke over there. Wow.
Yeah, I've got a pretty
Jason
good one.
doesn't forget
Yeah.
names.
I have.
He's a senior pastor.
So my wife is on cue for this one, and a couple of my inner circle people. I will always, and they know if I ever say this person standing next, they say, "Oh, have you met my wife, Julie?" Instantly, she has to say like right away, "Oh, hi, I'm Julie. What's your name?"
Love
and
it.
then they say it right there on the spot. So there's only a few key people that know it, but when it happens, it's magic.
Well, now a few
really
more
is.
than a few key people know it now. You just said it to our team members. So
hey,
now all of us know.
Have you met my friend Doug?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Then I would say, Jason, tell me, what's this guy's name?
They
Brutal.
break the youth pastor code right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
But my wife says I should never open my mouth. Like she thinks I get, because sometimes I try and figure it out. Hey, what was your name again? She says, don't ask people that because then you make them feel bad. And so she always says it's better to not say anything. Yeah. I don't know.
I call them all bro. It works.
Yeah.
What's up, bro?
There it is.
Hey, dude.
But I try and say,
back,
weren't you that girl named Jennifer?
Yeah.
No,
She's
it's
like,
Susie. And I'm like, oh man,
it's Kelly
if
Renee.
I try too hard to do that, it always backfires. Like
Yes,
if I try
it
to
backfires.
figure it out in conversation, then I know my
I'm
face
all. That's me.
is-
I'm playing every angle of school, and I will do everything around them but say their name. Like I'll know who. Hey, have you seen Jason lately? I know their friend groups. I'll know what school they go to. But if I can't land their name, I'll just keep circling.
Anything. I'm gonna
because
get
I
it.
want them to know that I
But
care.
you have a poker face. I don't. So like you can just see my wheels turning while I'm trying to figure it out. I know my face is just all whatever.
Yeah, but you're junior hires most of the time. Do
They
they
don't care.
notice?
No,
Yeah.
they-
No.
Kathy and I do
Something
the
shiny.
just tell me your name.
Kathy knows.
No, I just if I don't introduce her, like we walk up and I don't introduce her, she'll go, "Hi, I'm Kathy. What's your name?" She just knows
Oh,
immediately.
she steps in without you doing the cue.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man,
Yeah,
I wish
'cause the
my
cue-
husband-
That's huge.
The cue is a dead giveaway. It says, hey, I need help here.
Yeah,
Give me
you
my
think
wingman.
it's
No, come on.
It's a total
Are you
dead
serious? If
giveaway.
we're in a circle of people and I say, "Hey, have you met my wife Julie?" and right away, like, "Oh, I'm Julie. What's your name?" That's a giveaway.
Well, to professionals like this
No.
crowd,
You
yes,
guys
it
are lucky.
is.
My
Break.
husband could never do that. He's just fine to be silent. And like
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. He would
you
not
guys
be.
are lucky.
Hey, this incredible podcast where everybody listening now feels like they're part of our team because
Yeah.
everybody struggles.
We all
Everybody.
fake names.
There's like one
Yes.
in 100 that don't.
Hey, man.
You know.
Yeah. Hey, bro.
But
That's the
this
title of this episode. Hey, man.
this show is brought to you by Orange.
Orange.
TheOrangeConference.com. Hey, Jason, this would be big for you. Rethink Leadership is a brand new, unique gathering designed exclusively for senior leading campus pastors.
Ooh.
It's happening April 27th through the 29th in Atlanta while the Orange Conference is happening.
just gonna say, that's
and
the
it's happening at the John Maxwell Leadership Center. So you can expect
Feels-
conversations and connections with peers, along with great content from trusted leaders like Andy Stanley,
We need some music behind
Reggie
us.
Joyner,
Wow, those are kind
John
of
Acuff,
Those are big names.
and Brad Lomenick.
I don't know who
I don't know
that is.
this.
Either
You know,
started
when I
Catalyst
see
or
him-
he's running
when I
Catalyst.
see him,
now.
I'll be
Calvary
like,
Chapel.
hey, man.
Not Calvary Chapel.
Hey, bro.
Catalyst.
Hey, bro.
Anyway, it's
Love
a
your
unique
books.
gathering of church leaders who are committed to solving the biggest challenges facing not only
Humanity.
your church, but the church.
Oh.
Visit rethinkleadership.com.
That's cool.
So, Orange Conference, which we're going to be at, is normally been for student ministry leaders and children's leaders and anybody in the family space. This is their first year to really go after the senior
like it.
pastors.
That's cool.
To say, senior pastors, bring your team. You don't have to hang out with them.
Yeah,
You know,
go to a special thing over
Go
at the
to this.
Maxwell Institute.
Go to this one across the street.
Yeah.
John Maxwell
Go with all
Leadership
these
Institute.
fancy.
Will
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Maxwell be there?
Cow.
Because
I don't know. It's his,
Yeah,
it's
that
his
was a
leadership
little
center.
misleading.
What?
you're at his
John
place.
Maxwell. You're at the John
Have you
Maxwell
been there though? It's
Center.
really nice.
No,
It
it's
is
like
really
a
nice.
it's like a museum. It's
yeah,
great.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, Jason, are you coming to the Orange? To the
Well,
Orange?
I sure would
The
like to.
Orange.
We got to talk. We got to figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
You know, because Katie will be there. Doug will be
Yeah.
there. I'll be there.
We're gonna do a
Just
show.
I'm coming off my first Israel trip.
Are we really?
Right then.
wow.
sure,
Congratulations.
let's do a show.
Fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to bring Elliot though.
Yeah,
Aw,
Elliot's too
come on,
costly.
Doug.
Producer Elliot is
Elliot.
expensive.
Elliot, you know what? When I'm
You
around
need to
Elliot,
come. You need to come. We're at our best with you.
He's
He's
nice.
one of your favorite nephews.
he is. Well, you should see my nephews. They're all kind of
Yeah, I
dwarves.
was gonna
so
say.
Elliot's
Kind
kind
of
of rises
swimming in
to
the
top.
shallow end of nephews, but whatever.
Dear.
Hey, Elliot, little Southern girl. Maybe marry a Southern girl while you're in Atlanta.
Ooh,
No, we got.
sounds interesting.
Let's don't talk to Elliot right now. Hey, we also have great sponsor. We're going to talk about them in a little bit. YM360, Leader Treks, and Azusa Pacific University. We're
Best.
grateful. They sponsor the show. They created this equipment.
They do.
They didn't really create it.
They forged
but
it out of
They
steel.
created the resources to have this commitment.
Grateful.
Yeah, we also have a special guest in the audience, the Reverend Justin Knowles, one of the
Yes.
one of the primary bloggers,
Yeah.
contributors. We actually bow down to him.
Is that your
Resource-
title?
Download
Resource
Youth Ministry.
creator. He's got
Are
us
you
all.
a
and am I
Reverend?
right about this? He's the best looking guy in youth ministry.
He was.
That's true.
He's a little old now.
Cool,
How old are you,
okay.
Justin? I see.
Whoa.
It's
29.
past his prime.
That's past his prime.
All right, so
Yeah,
Katie,
still
while you were gone,
about 6 years over.
we did a
You had the
couple
best time
shows.
ever.
We did a couple shows. No,
Yeah.
you know,
It wasn't the
Allison.
same.
Allison sat in on
Which
one.
is basically like me.
It is.
right?
It is.
It's the same thing.
I did find an old picture of Allison that looked exactly
Same,
like
we're the
you.
same human.
Same person.
And Allison sang, and it was amazing.
Oh,
Pretty great.
Yeah.
I'm
Better
not
than
gonna do
Josh's.
that.
one of the questions that came in was from a youth pastor named Joel Stetler, and Joel said, "I'm curious if you ever needed to thank your leaders in a really big way. I just was diagnosed with cancer over the holidays and began chemotherapy." And he just talked about how great his team was. They've really stepped up and the whole bit. We're a small mobile church, youth ministry, about 40 kids with 10 leaders. And anyway, we're like, okay, so here's one of our own. You know, the guy's got cancer. And so we prayed for him and we talked about what he could do to thank his leaders. And we asked for an update. And so here is his update.
So cool.
Hey kids, Doug asked for an update on my cancer situation, so I thought I'd fill you in. First, though, my apologies to Jason for leaving him out of the last email. Being a drummer myself, I'm too familiar with the pain of being overlooked.
Oh, it's
Lead singer syndrome.
That's true.
In all seriousness, though, I have no shame in admitting that, quote, Supertone Strikes Back has a permanent place on my marathon playlist.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Cancer update. We're currently praying over some upcoming tests that will show whether my treatment is having an effect on the cancer, which has spread to my lungs. My doctor is hopeful that surgery will be within the realm of possibility and that a year from now he might be able to put this ugliness behind us. As far as treatment goes, my energy level is almost always below 50%. I've lost my beloved beard. I'm still able to be relatively involved in church and play with my 3 kids at home, but I do have to budget myself carefully. One thing that has occurred to me through this process is that it might do the youth ministry community some good to talk about the question, how replaceable am I? I've learned how great it is to make oneself replaceable in ministry, but at the same time asking the question puts the youth leader in the uncomfortable position to ask some residual questions as well. Like, what happens if I can't do my job for a period of time due to a crisis? What happens to my relationship with my pastor then? What happens to my marriage then? What about my relationship with youth ministry parents, youth leaders? In my own experience, making myself replaceable has done great things for these various relationships, and I imagine you all have a lot of wisdom to dole out on this issue. Thank you for your last response on the podcast to my letter. It was a huge blessing, and your ideas were extremely helpful. We don't hear that very often.
Wow. No wonder it wasn't addressed
Since
to Jason.
Jason's been on the show,
286.
we're actually working on getting youth ministry families together for a Pinterest party to make some personalized trophies for our leaders. Also looking into a gift card drive as well.
Oh.
On that note, you asked me to reach out to hear what response you received from the YM360 and Leader Trek folks. Thank you so much for your generosity and prayer. I'm excited to see how our leaders are going to pay it forward. So, Katie, what we did is we
really
said,
cool.
let's go to some of our sponsors and let's just like blow away their volunteers. And so we said at Download Youth Ministry, we're going to give everybody, I don't remember what it was, 25 bucks?
Yeah.
50, I thought.
Yeah.
Look at that gut, Elliot.
No, 25 bucks. 25 bucks.
25 bucks
We're going to
for
rewind the tape on
It was
that.
100.
yeah. And so then Allison reached out to our sponsors, and Youth Ministry 360 is giving each leader a copy of 7 best practices for teaching teenagers the Bible, which is a $130 value.
Wow.
And so it's ideal for Sunday morning teachers and small group leaders, and it's available at ym360.com.
That's rad.
So, and the 7 practices are right here, and you actually have to buy the book to get it. Then Leader
And
Treks.
they look good.
Leader Treks is giving each leader a copy of the digital download Multiply.
Wow.
Making disciples who grow disciples. This is a $1,290 value
There
because
you go.
it's $129 for the whole thing, which is 16 Bible-based lessons, 16 bonus sermon outlines, parent guides, experiential activities in every lessons, videos, logos, graphics, and media presentations.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
it's to challenge and train students to
Leader
impact the
tracks.
faith of those around them through large group talks, small group lessons, parent guides. Multiply will equip your students to grow their faith from personal to influential. And Allison, nicely done putting this together.
Way to go, Alice.
And way to put
job, Alice.
YM360 first, since they're just giving a book You know,
Yeah, but it's a great one.
It is a great
$130
book.
value. This is $129 free.
know.
No, it is a great book.
It's a great book.
But I think YM360 could.
Goodness, they're
I think
both
they could,
generous.
I think YM360 could step it up a little bit.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
Well, what
like,
was ours? Let's do what ours was. Ours was 25. Oh yeah, that's a lot. We did good too.
yeah, we beat
All right.
YM360.
Yeah, Andy Blanks. We're challenging you,
Cool.
Andy,
We're-
right now.
We're winning.
Les is the decision maker there. Andy just looks pretty and writes good stuff.
That's true.
Well, I think that was incredibly generous.
yeah, that's great.
And-
We're excited about
And
that.
what a great story. I saw people on
That's
Twitter and
so
emailing in
cool.
talking about, because we stopped and prayed for him as well. And it was a cool moment. It was great to see our sponsors come through like that. And yeah, do we want to talk about some of the questions that were in there? Because that was a loaded email too.
Oh, yeah.
About replacing
Forgot there was
yourself.
questions.
Like, replacing yourself.
I was
and-
all excited to get to the $1,300 worth
Don't worry about what he has to say.
yeah, thousands of dollars in free stuff. That is more important than anything else.
Yeah.
But I'll just give a little broad stroke answer. I think it's a humongous compliment when your youth workers take over in your absence.
Yes.
Especially in
The best.
transition, whether it's temporary or permanent. When nothing skips a beat, then you have done an incredibly effective job of preparing them for ministry without you. You're not going to be at that church forever. No pastor is going to be at their church forever. Everybody, William Vanderbloven or whatever his name is, said every pastor is interim, whether you die in the pulpit or whether you leave the church someday. Everyone is interim. And so I think you have to be continually preparing your people for your departure, whether or not you have a terminal disease or major conflict or issues, whatever. You're not going to be there forever. So I think this is a beautiful testimony to leaders rising up, being prepared for the unexpected, where their leader has to step out for a while.
And let me tell you, there is nothing that gives me greater joy. 20 years of youth ministry, and during that time, every time when I stood in the back of the room and let somebody else lead, let somebody else teach, let a worship band go without me having anything to do with it, even though I could have done all those things. Some of my leaders doing announcements, whatever it is, and I stand back of the room and see revival breaking out across the kids and then falling passionately in love with God. Like, I see all this stuff, and I'm in the back of the room knowing I could have been absent tonight and all this would have happened.
Yeah.
Nothing's greater. It's the biggest joy.
Those are some good announcements if they're worshiping the Lord.
Well, you wouldn't believe our announcements.
Wow.
You got to remember, he has a charismatic background.
That's true. Okay, I'm back in.
Our announcements are focused on Jesus.
Come to the potluck,
so-
guys. You just got saved. Potluck. You're welcome for that. I went deep.
Thank
I went
you.
deep.
No, remember he was Nacho Bar.
Nacho bar.
bar.
That's right.
Hey, nacho bars are good. No, but that's just my
awesome.
favorite. I just love it when equipping and empowering your leaders
Yeah.
to do the ministry that God's called them to do and become who that God's made them to be. That is the
Fields, you've talked about planned absences before. Obviously, this is an unplanned absence, but I think it'd be interesting for you to talk a little bit about that strategy.
Well, it's funny. I was actually in my mind going, have I just talked about that? Or is that in, I don't know if that's in first 2 years of youth ministry or purpose-driven youth ministry, or if I just talked about it. Literally, as you brought that up, I'm thinking, where have I put that? But the idea with planned absence is really just a test on your leadership. So it is Wednesday at 6 o'clock. You're calling a couple, you're going to do this, but you're calling a couple of your leaders. And
Oh, really? The night of.
Can't be there.
Okay.
Yeah, something major came up.
I need you to run with this.
And just to see, just put your leaders in a position where they have to flex their muscles a little bit, because unless it is, because even when you do what you're doing, you're still in the back of the room,
Right.
It's great. It's just,
Sure.
but you are the safety valve.
That's true.
Always the safety valve. So, the idea, if you really want to stretch your leaders a little bit, is create a planned absence where, you plan it, nobody else knows it, but, they've got to pick up the pieces and go.
So when you do that, do you go in the back of the room with a hooded sweatshirt and sunglasses? And then at the end of the night say, you guys did great. You passed. No.
You reveal yourself in the back.
Undercover
I was
boss.
here the whole time.
Just under the stage.
All those kids getting saved during announcements. It was a great night.
Yeah.
I told you guys could do it without me.
That's awesome.
Hey, send your questions into webshow at downloadyouthministry.com.
That's
webshow at downloadyouthministry.com. Hey, one of the things that we've been done is
That's
Justin, on the Facebook group
yeah.
that you started, there's a lot of questions that have come in.
Of a Facebook.
And
There's a lot of movement with that, isn't there? I see it all the time.
I think it's going to catch on.
Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like it's about to get critical mass pretty soon here.
Yeah. No, I'm
I like
seriously-
the Facebook.
I like
It's
the row on the
great.
front end. I like the row on the front end.
Ground floor.
It's cool.
Ground floor, guys.
I'm about to leave my AOL chat room, and I've been hearing a lot about the Facebook. What's funny is the whole time I'm trying to remember the social site that just went down that was like everybody's on, and then now
MySpace?
MySpace.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember it, so I went to AOL chat room instead.
I was like CompuServe. I'm trying to think of what the other one.
It was still funny. It was
Thank
fun.
you. Well, yeah, it may have been funnier.
Do you guys want to know the next one?
AOL was
It's called
definitely funny.
Peach. There you go. Look it up.
All right.
Elliot,
Look at Allison.
Elliot is a solid no over there.
Because he loves the Facebook so much that he doesn't
Totally.
want Peach to succeed.
JJ, are you trying to set a trend right now?
I'm
Is
just
this really
saying.
going to happen?
You want to be on the front end of
That
technology?
would be Chem if he did. We could actually bring back Chem
I
since
think
it's just
Chem-
you
it's
and me.
time. It's time.
Yeah.
It's totally time for Chem.
Okay.
There's the title of the show.
Time for Jim. Hey, this is a question from John Batch. John Batch says, how do you deal with the other ministries in the church wanting you to do this and that? For example, the Old Lady Club comes to ask you to do some work for them
First, start with a humble attitude.
because they are
Number
old and the youth should be working for Jesus.
Yeah.
He says, thanks, and I would like Griff to say free T-shirt and Starbucks for anyone named John.
Oh, I love John. John is.
I lost the whole question when he said old ladies club. What did you ask?
Well, I'll tell you what, I put this in the front of the pile and I actually wrote pet peeves on it because yesterday I was with the high school staff at the church that Kathy and I are working with right now. And I was saying to them, like, I have a chip on my shoulder from everybody abusing the youth ministry staff. I mean, just over the years, 30
Sure.
years in youth
Yep.
ministry of like, we need babysitters. Let's ask the, young
Yes.
people.
Yes.
We need this. Let's ask the young, we need help with setup. Let's ask the young people. So I was just talking about how, kind of one of the roles that I'm playing is to protect them from some of the things that are, because some of them can't say no to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little bit of an outsider there. And so it's easier for me to say no. Plus I'm old and I don't care. But that
the
is
Old Ladies Club.
yeah, that is just one of my pet peeves. Like always the expectation is that the kids ministry will do it. So anyway,
Okay, so your answer is shut them down.
my answer is tell those old people to go to another church. Gosh. No. Here's the deal. I think
Wow.
honestly, I think here's what a youth ministry, a healthy youth ministry has serve opportunities happening a lot. And so those serve opportunities, if they're regular, let's say you have a monthly serve opportunity on a Sunday after church, which wouldn't be too many. I think that's a great opportunity once a month. If you're the point person, you don't have to run it. There's a volunteer who probably is passionate about that they could run it, grab a few kids. It doesn't have to be the
knock it
whole
out.
youth group, the whole bit. Anyway, but you're always pushing kids to taste serving. And so you say to the Old Ladies Club, you know what? We have a serve opportunity once a month, and we'd be happy to put you guys in the rotation of that.
That's a
Oh,
great
that's
idea.
good.
Yeah.
I think too, like with stuff like that, knowing, again, why you exist, what, kind of what your purposes are, those types of things, and making sure other people know that perception of your ministry. It's easy to say too, you know what, this isn't fitting into kind of what we're about right now, and serve is a really important thing for us, but this is how it's functioning in our ministry right now. And so I think just knowing really well, like why we're here, why we exist, what the purpose of our ministry is, those are great things to educate other ministries in the church too, because they have a perception of your ministry and that they can take. And I think sometimes, like you said, hey, we'd love to put you in the rotation or things like that, but knowing, educating people along the way about your ministry, I think is an important piece too.
Yeah. Well, and I think not every ask needs to be a whole youth group, all hands on deck. Everybody needs to be there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something where you go, hey, I got a couple student leaders who can totally own that. Or you got
Or
4
scholarship kids that are trying to work off scholarship.
Work off
a
some
small
camp
group.
scholarship. Yeah, a small group. You got 4 small groups. We'll have them rotate now or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
where pick one of the 4 and you're all set. So I think sometimes we get an ask like this and we throw on the panic, like, how am I supposed to get my kids to everything that we're doing? Now I got to take all 20 of them to, well, this might require 3.
1 or 2, yeah.
So don't panic right out of the gate.
See, I think I did panic when I heard those kind of questions all the time. I got offended. I tightened up. I
There
got
you go.
defensive.
Sure.
So like I'm with Is that John?
John, yeah,
Batch. I'm with John. Hey, man. I'm with that though because it was hard for a while, but I think after a while, just for me to kind of gently encourage people, like saying, "Oh, the youth can fix everything, and we'll just use the youth every time." I would just kind of gently, realizing this isn't my battle to fight, just kind of say, "Well, we got a lot going on right now. Have you asked your people if they can serve? Have you?" I don't know. So I always kind of pushed it back a little bit on them. Then I always felt guilty, like we're not serving or servants. That's a hard one.
Yeah, that's good real talk right there. I like
Yeah,
it.
but and
So
sometimes
try to say no and then cave
sometimes
in.
when I know I wasn't gonna really push for it, I said, "Well, I can announce it, or I can throw it out there at my team leadership meeting and see if anyone's available." And no one was, and no one volunteered for stuff like that sometimes, and it was like, okay.
Yeah, you did your part.
Well,
I said
you,
I would announce
you didn't
it.
really announce it either, but
I did though.
it's kind of like saying, "I'll pray for you." You know.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is a question from Derry Prinkert.
Oh, I like Derry. He's one of our authors on DYM.
He's a great author
Yeah.
on DYM. And is it Prinkert or Prinkert? Justin, what is it? P-R-E. I always say Derry Prinkert.
I still just
I
can't
say
get
it quick
over-
enough where I can't. There's like
It's neither
two.
way.
There's two consonants in the
Prinkert.
middle that kind of throw me off.
Yeah.
N and the K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Well, I
Derry.
just call him Derry.
Plinko.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Which is a funny name. Is Derry really common?
Maybe it's short for something.
Oh, yeah.
Darius.
Derry, eh?
I don't think so.
Hey, I'm a youth pastor. These things happen.
Hey, Doug, Josh, Katie, and Kenny.
Oh, really?
A little backstory. I'm now in my 20th year
Does
at
it
the
really say that? Are you? Oh,
Bro.
unbelievable.
Kenny Carson.
You've missed a bunch, man.
Darius. Derriere.
Kenny's really funny.
It is.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
Did you
Do
talk
you
about a middle
remember-
name or something like that? Wasn't that a bit?
On this show, yeah.
Fields.
So,
His real name's not Jason.
oh, that's right.
That's the big
That's
news.
the bit. That's great.
The
Yeah,
big
so
news
Kenny.
is
He's funny.
we've called him Jason
it's
for
pretty good.
25 years, and he's
His name
not
is Kenneth.
Jason.
Yeah.
It's true.
I already
like,
forgot
what?
about
What
that.
do you mean?
I was going to ask you what his name.
What does this mean? Hey, bro. Welcome back to the
Josh,
show.
You met,
Hey, man.
You met my friend Josh.
Doug, you met my friend.
All right, here we go. Quit having fun.
That's a good bit.
That's a really funny
I'm in
bit.
my 20th year at the same church. I started as a middle school intern while in college, was hired as the high school pastor at graduation. Now I oversee all student ministries. I'm the first to recognize this tenure is due to a lot of fantastic church, to the fantastic church I've been placed in. The senior pastor has been there 35 plus years and multiple other staff 20 plus. The church believes in student ministries and has been incredibly supportive to my family and through the years. But everything went crashing down today when I found out I have 5 volunteers who have been dealing meth to our high schoolers, and the children's pastor is their supplier.
Oh, my goodness. This is our first. This is a
This
first.
is not real.
Just kidding.
Oh, my
No.
goodness. Kenny, what do you think about that one?
No, I'm reading it straight from him because when the first
is a
time I
great
read
bit.
it,
This is
I
a
was
great
like,
bit.
oh my. I mean, he got me.
Breaking Bad.
And he says,
Here we go.
Sunday school edition.
and the children's pastor is the supplier.
Unbelievable. I'm like, is this
That's a
serious?
good bit.
Cooking math.
So he says,
Come on.
just kidding. There's no drastic turn to the story. So here it is.
Wow, Darius.
Just go to the next one.
Hey, by the way,
so great. That was
Derry,
so wonderful.
He's got some game.
one, he's got game. He's one of our better selling authors too, isn't he?
Oh, I think he's
Justin?
one of the best.
Well,
Yeah.
clearly he's a great writer.
Yeah, he is a
Yeah.
good one. No, he did this.
Sermons are all just filled with made up stories, but guys, I grew up on the streets. No, you didn't. Like
You
downtown
live
South.
in Amish country. He wrote a thing on transitioning seniors.
Yeah.
that is excellent.
Yeah.
That's
And
excellent.
There's a
Completely
senior,
false. No.
senior super PAC on DYM.
Senior
That's really
super PAC.
awesome. Senior super PAC.
All right.
He's actually working
the
on
old
a
ladies
parent-
club.
He's working on a parent one too. He's a good resource provider. I'm interested to know if he has an actual question or if he's just
No, here it
mocking
is.
us. Okay.
The truth is, I'm going on 40. We just had our 4th child
Oh boy.
adopted. I find myself entering what I'd call a new season of youth ministry. The demands of home are causing a different rhythm to my schedule. The team I have in place has put me in a role where I'm doing less with current students and more with parents and former students, but I'm embracing this season and love the opportunity to empower others. So the question doesn't come from a point of crisis, but more of intrigue. There is a lot of ministry experience around your table, and with that, a lot of seasons of change you've walked through in personal as well as ministry life. My question: what have been the toughest life transitions to walk through? Marriage, kids, health, family, etc., in correlation with your ministry position. What are the keys to navigate those transitions healthily? If you could go back and get a redo through one season of transition, what would it be and what would you do different? So appreciate you all. You've invested in my life and ministry through the years in many different ways. I love DYM and all it represents.
It's very nice.
Oh.
Derry at Napanee Missionary Church in Napanee, Indiana.
I like it. Well, he's a very funny guy. But my toughest transition was the last couple of years, not knowing where God has me, and I relate with Derry.
So let's catch people up who maybe are jumping in for the first
Okay,
time. Your
okay.
transition from youth ministry into starting a church.
Yeah, I was in youth ministry 20 years and became an adult pastor, and our church went through a major merge, and I just knew almost right away, God, what are you doing? This isn't me. But he kept me there for a while, and finally got released and called me to plant a church. So during that transition, over about 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years, I relate to him so much. I'm 40. I also have 4 kids. I also have been involved in youth ministry 20 years. I also worked for a senior pastor over 30 years. That was there for 30 years.
Wow.
So all this stuff, I'm like, yeah. But life gets crazy. Life gets tough. And all those times of just wondering if he talked about the do-over, the best times I ever had was when I just knew who I was and knew who God called me to be, is knowing that my family comes first before the ministry, and all my woes, and coming home just exhausted and burned out and feeling frustrated that I wasn't getting what I wanted or something. That stuff can always take a back seat to coming home and looking at your wife in the eyes and saying, how was your day? And you're my priority. I love you. And let's keep our date night, and let's spend time with the kids. And this is God's greatest gift right in front of us. So those are my biggest takeaways and sometimes I did it right. A lot of times I didn't. A lot of times I just, lived in misery and kind of downward spiral. But for sometimes that I did do it right, it feels very good. Yeah.
It's good.
I think for me, there is a grieving in each change. So, for example, you go from a position where you're hands-on in junior high and high school, and then you move into just high school, and you grieve that loss of junior high, and you have to take that time to grieve it for a while, and then whatever the changes are, you look back at those seasons. I mean, I could probably pick 15 different changes where I think it's important to just pause and go, okay, this sucks, to going from I had a team that I was leading and liking to now I'm overseeing a whole ministry or department or something like that. And, I'm not leaving when they're all leaving to go to lunch or, whatever it is. There is each change in ministry, I think, requires an opportunity to grieve with that a little bit. And what I mean grieve with that is, more than just like, I crashed my car and I'm sad and let me grieve a day. I think that it takes a while to kind of process. I think when I left Saddleback, after 19 years, I think it took a year. I think it took a year for me to not think about it and wonder what people were doing. And, I went out on my own terms. I went out on top. I went out where the pastor said to the congregation, "You're one of my best friends." I mean, it was all good, and still I was kind of grieving a loss of a season.
Yeah.
And because the reality about ministry is that it continues on. All of us around this table will leave a ministry that we're in, and it will go. It's not like they're calling you 2 weeks later saying, we can't find the paper cups.
Yeah. What do you got, Kate?
I would really agree with that. I think every time a change comes, there's a pause for sure. I would agree with that. I think too, within transition, I think there's a couple of rhythms in my life that I'm just try to make sure that I'm always keeping. So the rhythm of my family, so my date night, rhythm of like tucking kids into bed at night, those things,
Yes.
keeping some of those rhythms the same when change is happening in ministry, I think helps you keep yourself focused and on what feels important and priority. So, and then even rhythm in just my own time with Jesus, keeping that, it doesn't always have to be the same, but just keeping that rhythm with him, I think helps me, again, just reminded of who I was created to be. And so, and eyes on the next season with him and those types of things. So no matter what is changing in the ministry world or what kind of geographical locations I'm moving to or what's moving around, as long as those two rhythms stay consistent for me, I feel stronger to navigate any other kind of change. So
That's good.
That's great.
I like something that Derry said about moving from ministry to students to ministry to adults and to volunteers. I think that's natural and normal and healthy and good. Lean into that. But I'll go back a little further and deeper into my story. I would say a very difficult time of transition was early in youth ministry. It was my wife and I, and we were the two youth leaders, and that was it. We started the two of us and 12 kids or whatever. And it's such a fun ground floor. This is just the two of us taking on the world. This is great. And eventually, years later, the student ministry grew a little bit. We had some volunteers. And when we started having kids, and she's like, I need to step out of youth ministry. That was a major blow.
Yes.
That was like my partner, my friend, we do everything we know. And she's still very connected, but in a very different way. Instead of us being up late at night, finishing a youth activity or whatever, I'm telling her about it the next morning or whatever. So we still had a partnership, but I don't think I fully understood we weren't going to be comrades in arms at everything together. And I think I would have prepared myself better for that had I known, I'm going to lose this aspect and gain a different one early on in ministry. Yeah, having kids and losing her was big.
well, even all those milestones that you hit in life like that.
Yeah.
So going from single to being married, that's, and then having kids. I mean, everything shifts, with those, as those priorities grow in your personal life, they naturally affect ministry and cause things to shift there too.
Yep.
Derry's a great youth worker. He's going to figure this out too.
Yeah.
Is figuring it out for sure.
Yeah, and keep us informed. Hey, let's end the show with this this is a quick question from Jared Elrod. Everybody just takes one quick answer and we're gone. Okay?
Yeah.
Here it is. If you could make fun of Kenny in one word, no.
Do I need to answer that too?
Here it is. If you could pick one aspect of youth ministry to focus on in the next year, what would it be and why? So he says evangelism, preaching, discipleship, visiting school, hanging out with kids, what would it be and why for your ministry? Go.
Evangelism, 100%. That's all I care about. Reaching more new kids. I don't care about discipling or serving or ministry. Nope. I know they're important, but if I had to choose one, evangelism all day, every day.
Cool.
Okay.
Parents. I think for me, I would focus on, I am, but I think parents over the next year, really kind of figuring out how we are partnering more as a 50-50 versus what I feel like we've been like maybe an 80-20, youth ministry and parents. So training parents, raising, helping parents understand discipling their own kids and how important that is. And yeah.
Great.
I'd say almost identical to Josh, but with discipleship. That's just what I would care about more than anything, and just building disciples, making disciples, having them disciple other people, teaching them what the heart of God is, having them own their faith, understanding what a disciple looks like, and living it out.
So using Leader Trek's curriculum that we heard about
Hey.
earlier. That's really what you would do.
There might be 7 things written somewhere.
Yeah, I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
Well, unless you buy the book.
How about you, Fields?
Volunteers. I'm working with a ministry right now that has been very staff-led.
Yeah.
And I think they've taken their eyes off of volunteers. And I think that's where I spend my time, my energy. All right, you guys, always fun to be together.
show.
This
Super
is
fun.
episode 286. And
Kenny, great having you here.
next next show,
Josh.
The show
Yes,
with
Will.
Kenny.
next
Kenneth.
show, lots of fun. I already know it. I already sense it.
Okay, all
I
right.
already feel it.
Can't
lucky
wait.
that you
Don't
guys
miss
know
it.
that.
Thanks to our
Anything,
sponsors.
Allison, anything
We'll
we
see
need
you guys.
to announce? All right.
All right, game on.
Hooray.
All right. And
Scene.
goodbye.